Welcome, everyone, to the Empowered Women podcast, celebrating courageous women who turn struggle into success. And I'm your host, Nicole Ananda, and for the last 20 years as a certified life coach and healing arts professional, I've supported women to live a life of passion, power, and purpose so they can experience more love, more joy, and success. So if you're ready to ignite your life, subscribe to The Empowered Woman and become a part of this community where excuses hold no power, resilience reigns, transformation happens, authentic power is created, and wise women lift each other up higher and higher. And today's guest is an amazing woman and a dear friend and colleague. Her name is Meixa Marie Shore. And with over 2 decades immersed in plant medicine ceremonies, she's merging her roles as a birth doula, end-of-life doula, somatic therapist, and movement educator with a profound reverence for psilocybin's transformative power. Through the labyrinth of chronic pain and childhood trauma, she was blessedly unearthed by the implosive power of psilocybin, a sacred key that unlocked the gates to deep healing and inner awakening. And her path has been one of beautiful discovery, where the mystical properties of psilocybin intertwine with the somatic realms of the body, offering a holistic approach to healing and growth. And at threshold points in our lives, we need to be with who we have been in order to make space for who we want and need to be. We all suffer, we all want and need love, and we all need forgiveness. We all desire freedom. What do you really want from your voyage and your life? So as a mother, she's infusing her practice with compassion and a deep connection to the wisdom of the body. Love in infinite waves guides her way. And her mission is to serve as a vessel of presence for healing, supporting others along the path of self-discovery and transformation. With an open heart and a reverence for the vastness of existence, she will be honored to be with you as you go deeper and deeper in the voyage of your own inner space. I love that bio. So Meixa, welcome. I'm like, ooh, yes, I just went on a voyage myself. So tell us, and welcome, I love you. I'm so excited that you're here with us. Tell us about your journey of like your courage and your bravery and all the things that you've stepped into. What were some of the struggles that you endured or the challenges that have led you to this place? You obviously have a rich background and history, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about your personal story.
Yeah, I mean, it could go on and on and on. Thank you.
Tell us the relevant parts, maybe.
Thank you for having me, Nicole. It's fun
Yeah,
to share with you and get to know each other better.
yeah.
I would say that the root of it is really from the root of my existence and how I was created, and then how I found my way onto the planet. And it was tumultuous. It was
Mm.
traumatic. I wasn't fed well in the womb, and then when I was born, I was dying and didn't breathe for a long time. Basically, all the doctors had given up on me, and my skull was fractured. And so, coming from that and not being brain damaged, and um, I found a mysticality in my consciousness that didn't necessarily match with what I was seeing in my world.
Mhm.
Um, in my fractured family, I didn't have a father. I had a busy single mama. So I was just constantly kind of sitting back and looking at the world and all of my surroundings, going, huh? This can't be it. What? And the only place that began and continued to make uh, sense for me was my body.
Mm.
And so I kept on just coming back into my body, wondering about the sensations that she was giving me, wondering about the responses that she was having to life.
Yeah.
And then I also began to feel what music did to my body and what the sound of trees did to my body and the wonder of the cosmos and the stars did to my
Mm.
body. And I would just sit there for, I have so many memories from childhood just laying there listening and feeling and seeing my body in space and being in wonder with
Wow.
it. And it was the 80s, and I remember I had no idea about acupuncture, that there had been like um people for thousands of years studying the inner sensory systems and electrical systems and energy systems of the body. I had no language for that at all, but I was
Right.
constantly like wondering what and how to talk about this and had nobody to talk to about it with. So I did that for a long time. And then I finally found my way to, as a dancer, to Kalani on the Big Island and began dancing with
Mhm.
a tribe there. And we created ecstatic dance on the planet. And so ecstatic dance in its way of of bridging the planet Earth was really founded through this community and this desire that we all had to become and to
Mm.
free ourselves from the shackles of our childhood and our ancestry and the culture. And on the Big Island, it's like explosive, and you
Wow.
know, it's just so much. And you constantly are transforming, whether you want to or not. And hopefully you do. And that's why you can stay. If you're not, then you get spit out.
I've heard this about Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah, so luckily I was embraced and learned a lot about healing and the body and group field healing. Um, but that's also when I also began learning about the intermediary of body, intention, and nature consciousness or universal
Mm.
consciousness, and how those begin to bridge in the body and change awareness, transform like actual physicality of what I call frozen atmospheres in the body, and how they begin to melt, the traumas transform, we get to see each other anew, ourselves anew. And that's when plant medicines really started coming in.
Wow.
They had been there, but in a more recreational sense, not a
Yeah.
hey, let's heal
Heal.
ourselves in the world through this
Right.
way.
Yep. I definitely went through that version of plant medicine, first being more of a party.
Yeah,
and then being like, wow, this is actually unraveling things for me and I'm actually healing through this process. So I totally
yeah,
understand that. Yeah.
yeah. And it's what we've been doing for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? That way of being with nature and her consciousness through the plants and finding ourselves because of that relationship. And then when we do it with each other, when we do it in a sense of belonging and caregiving, then it ripples out, not just for ourselves, but everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And so, how did you, along that path, become? So, I'm imagining you were going through the dance, and then at some point, you became a doula. And I was remembering that I actually first met you at dance here in Ashland. I think that's where I first met you. It was we were dancing, and then you had this like crazy accident, which I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
if that's part of what you'll tell today. But I'm also curious about the doulaship and like how that came through that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I had this whole plan for my life
Yeah.
as we start to have as we mature and grow. And I was really taking on dance as my life path, and I was going to go to Switzerland and study um, conflict resolution and peace building through dance. And
Oh wow,
it
yeah.
was just like opening my whole world. And then I got pregnant, and so
Oh yes.
so
Life and
I went
other
on this.
plans.
Yes, it did. Yeah, we think we have plans, and then we have other plans. So I became a mother, and through that journey of motherhood, I found a lot of chronic pain in my body and a lot of that ancestral
Mm.
rightness that was ready to be healed. And I'm always the one in my family to do that. And so birth has a birth has an amazing ability to just bring it all up for
Oh
you
yeah.
to see it. And it was just startling again, one of those moments where, becoming something and becoming aware of what mothers go through and what we're just not given in
Yeah.
that time and space. I was like, wow, I need to help this. And I'd always felt a vein of like, you've been a midwife for so many lifetimes,
Uh,
you know this, you know?
yeah.
So I began serving women in that way through
Mhm.
birth doula and also postpartum.
Yeah.
And it was in that time that I had had my second baby.
Uh-huh.
And we were holding a dance here in Ashland, an ecstatic dance. And I finally was, it had been about a year and a half of postpartum time. And I was going and I was in charge of the sound and I was dancing and I was a hot mess, like a total hot mess. A volcano was erupting up and out of my skull and literally. And that's when, you know, at the peak of the chaos, the light fixture fell and
Right.
shattered on my head.
Yeah.
Um, and and so that set in a whole other wave of healing, of discovery, of making right relationship with my life.
Yeah.
And it gave me, for anyone, including you, head injury, brain injury is like bow down to it. It's the hardest of the injuries, I think, to heal because your brain that you need to heal by
Yeah.
is what is injured, right? When your leg is injured, you can lay and not use it. Your
Yeah.
arm is injured, you can cast it up and not use it, but you can't do that with your brain.
No.
It keeps going.
It keeps going, right?
It keeps going.
That's so fascinating, though. I mean, I'm like, when you said that you came into life with like a fractured skull, and here you, like, however many years later, you get this like brain injury. Like, are they tied together for you? It's,
Yeah, and
yeah,
they couldn't not be,
right.
right?
Yeah.
That injury when I went into other practitioners, they're like, wow, this is old. This isn't
Uh,
just from this time. And what I found is through maybe just my own ability to grow, but also what I found through talking to other people with head injuries is that it's like our brain does such an amazing job at protecting us
mm,
and buffering us. And
yeah.
then when you don't have as much energy up there to take care of and protect you, all your other traumas and triggers are just
Heightened.
gaping wounds. They're so heightened. So you can't hide anymore. And that takes extra energy too, if you can
Right.
imagine.
Exactly.
So
And you've got two babies going on here,
and I got
okay?
two babies
So,
on top of
wow.
it and a marriage. And so
That's so much. Yeah, it's so much. Wow.
yeah, so during that time is when I came to psilocybin as not just like the ceremonial, let me heal, let me sing the praises to the universe, let me discover the beauty of nature. Um, it was, I need help. Can you help me save my life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know what I need. I just know, please help me, right? Just like slathered on the floor, completely humbled and not knowing at all necessarily what I could ask for. So I began microdosing, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I describe it as it created an an atmosphere in my body and in my consciousness that I could trust more than my own nervous system. It gave
Mm,
me a buffer that I could like stay inside of and go, okay, I can trust this place. Whereas
mm,
the other places in my body, because it was ping-ponging all over, disorientation with head injury is so intense
yeah.
and you can't stop it.
No.
So it was like there was this like ooh, this buffer that I could just stay inside of that was so soft and nurturing and
Mm,
slow. And then I went to the macro journeys.
yeah.
And wow, I received healing that I didn't even know I could ask for that
Ugh.
went beyond my conception, healed my existence, like gave me I now understand that one of the things that I learned from these journeys was how how much we are hurt by people and things that we love. And so
Mm,
the word love can become a hurtful vibration because a
mm.
lot of people that have hurt us loved us,
Right.
right?
Right. 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 Right.
And and so through these journeys, I had the experience of true love, of
Mm,
of the absolute purity and magnificence of love.
mm,
And And I had no idea. I had
Mm.
none. I had none, even though I had felt like I'd always been a bodhisattva and loved and, empathized with all of existence. I didn't know until I had been I laid for one of the journeys, I laid for about 9 hours straight and just sweat profusely with this volcano of love burning through every single part of my existence.
Ugh.
Um, it was so profound.
So profound. I love that. I mean, I can really relate to that, you know. I can really relate to that through ayahuasca and facilitating that medicine and just sometimes being so obliterated, like obliterated with love. Like
Yeah,
you're dissolved on all levels and it's so profound, you know, and I had never experienced that amount of love and also that amount of surrender, letting go, crying like on
yeah,
the floor with like boxes and boxes of tissues, and what it felt like was just lifetimes of suffering and pain, and sometimes even like, I'm sure you've had this experience too, stuff that didn't even seem like it was mine. Like I had a whole
yeah,
ceremony that was just me purging like oil slicks from the Amazon and like different minings from different areas on the earth, like literally like being the earth also in her own tears and alchemy of that, you know, and like the collective consciousness. Like it was so profoundly wild. And then so much compassion, right? For myself, for us as a collective, for the earth, for just the school that is the earth.
yeah,
Yeah, and just like it's so multidimensional. And the plants to me are ancient consciousness. I mean, they've adapted to us being here,
yeah.
and they're wiser as far as I'm concerned than we are, you know? So it's quite fascinating. I love that you brought it to that place. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank goodness we have them,
Yeah.
to help us remember and
Thank God.
keep showing up to ourselves and the planet in a way that just makes more sense for all of the relations here on the planet because we so easily forget and keep forgetting
Yeah.
because of the pace of life and all the traumas built into our ancestry systems.
Yeah.
But there's some of us, like you, like me, like so many of the people that we know that have a greater capacity than what some people are living in right now, that we can go into those spaces of the oil slick coming out and the healing, the rivers, through our own bodies. Um, what I see in my clients is that most people don't even have necessarily the capacity right now to do that great of
Yeah.
service for the planet or the universe because their own personal suffering is just so entrenched right here, right
Absolutely.
now, and the
Yeah.
day in, day out of just making it out of bed is
Yes. Yeah. Thank you
is
for bringing it back to the ground. Yes, absolutely.
is
100%.
that's their hero's journey every single day is just like,
Yeah.
how am I going to make it
Yeah.
through the day,
Yeah, how am I
right?
going to make it through the day with the amount of stress, anxiety, responsibility, financial responsibility, just, yeah, day to day struggle, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really real. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was sure that you saw it the other day, but so many of us are parents and, the Surgeon General came out for whatever it is that person is and declared us parents in a national emergency for the stress levels we're living in now.
Oh, I
And
didn't see
it,
that, but that makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
I know. It's like, oh, finally.
Yeah. I mean,
Finally.
it's a daily practice. I mean, I have added things recently to my daily practice, and I know that I'm probably a small percentage of people that spends like 2 hours basically in self care every day. You know, and I keep adding more stuff so that I can manage my own stress levels, and
Yeah.
I catch my mind consistently wavering to go to the future or goes back into the past, and to remain present is such a practice of really harnessing the mind, and it's not an easy task. So I very much empathize and feel for people, and this is like we've been doing this most of our adult lives. Imagine stepping on the path right now and just going, I just want to try this one thing, to just step outside my box for a moment. And even that is like so courageous and so brave. So, yeah. So tell
Yeah.
me, tell me a little bit about like what you've been doing with clients. And I know you just went through this entire huge initiation and process to become a facilitator. Do you want to speak to that and what that's like?
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
extraordinary.
yeah,
Sometimes I think about, that little girl that was used to just sit and look at the stars or the sky through the leaves and think, wow, you would have never ever thought you would be one of the first licensed psilocybin. Like, how crazy is it, right?
yeah,
That like I
right.
get to do this legally, be with people, and I'm working with a very different demographic
Yeah,
than I ever did when I was facilitating ayahuasca ceremonies and wachuma and all that. It's just
yeah,
these are the people that would never really go into the gray or black market,
right,
that would barely ever go to the Amazon, maybe like
right.
one out of like 100 of them would.
Yeah,
They've been entrenched in the medical system.
yeah.
And that's why they feel safe going into these places, that they are usually, I'm just like breaking my heart, that they I'm learning that this is their last hope, that
Mm.
that that
That's
nothing's working
lovely.
for them anymore. The
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals that they've been on for decades, they need to come off of. They are numb. They don't feel anything, not
Mm.
even the bad. They just
Mm-hmm.
don't feel anything.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and and on top of that, because they don't feel anything, they've had decades, let alone a childhood of experience where they were not taught, nor did they take on their own agency to
Right.
feel
To
life,
feel.
right?
Yeah.
So then they go into what you said, this courageous act of going into the unknown with
Right.
basically barely any experience of saying yes and feeling
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
life. And then
Yeah.
you have this deep, ancestor plant medicine teacher come and say, oh, here's all this stuff. And
Right.
here's all these parts of you that you
Wow.
haven't felt and that have been suppressed and not repaired, that have frozen inside of you and
Mm-hmm.
need to be felt.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, what I see more than anything in all of my clients, and I've seen almost 70 now,
Mm-hmm.
is like there's this term. It's uh, because of how much suppression there's been,
Yeah.
all we need to do is express. And I see that expression in the psilocybin journey happen in a lot of different ways. There's
Mm.
moaning, there's screaming, there's crying, there's laughing, there's talking to so many different aspects of themselves, reparenting, talking to the grandmother, to the one that hurt them. All of it, right, at the same
Yes.
time, while their ancestors are watching, while the pride of lions are like encircling, while the stars are beaming down on them. And what my role is anything that's happening in that room is to affirm, to protect, and to keep on ushering their consciousness and their heart back into the companionship with psilocybin, to be in that
Mm.
journey.
Mm.
So it's not necessarily about me. I try to make it as little about me as possible and just keep mothering them into the psilocybin wave.
Mm.
Um, and they do it. It's
Yeah.
just remarkable to see these people that, they arrive in tears and they're shaking and they're already a hot mess. And then they go in and, go through the biggest experience of their life,
Yeah.
honestly. And a
Yeah.
lot of the women that go through it, never even had like necessarily a natural birth experience with their own children because of medicalized birth.
Right.
That so psilocybin comes in waves,
Mm-hmm.
it comes in waves, and it's very much like giving birth. It really is. It's compassionate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you follow the waves, then the expression can come, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
the out breath, and then another one comes, and you cry or you wail or you scream or you say fuck you and all the
Yeah,
things, and then
right. Yeah.
let the exhale come, and ask psilocybin again, like, show me more,
Ah,
show
I
me
love that.
more,
Yeah.
show me more. So I love that every single, like, it's 2 or 3 times a week I go into the unknown with people, not
Yeah.
knowing what's going to happen, who's going to
Right.
show up, and watch them unfold into a being that they've never met before, but
Yeah.
feels truer.
Yeah. I think it's so great. I mean, I love that you brought it back to the demographic of people who've been, it's their last hope. And I find that to be really fascinating. And like, yeah, there's so much that has been hidden from us, as a people, and to
Yeah.
just have access to a different way, is so important. And not everybody is going to be crazy risk takers like us that went down to the jungle and decided to just like do something that some people would think is really crazy,
Yeah.
right? My experience of it so far is just I've been working with, as you know, Miles from Confluence Retreats. I do the breathwork ceremonies for their introduction. It's like the preamble to their medicine journey, just to open up their hearts a little bit more and to feel safe in their bodies and to connect to their breathing, so that the hope is they have this experience that they can map in their nervous system, and then when they go into the
Yeah.
journeys, they feel better, they feel safer, they know, oh wait, I have this breath, the breath took me to this other place, and now I have that, in my system. I have something that I can kind of, grab onto if I need that anchor. And every single person who's walked in, is not a demographic that I typically have worked with, and it's been an honor. And
Yeah.
just even to see where they go with the breath work, before the psilocybin. And sometimes it's pretty dramatic, and sometimes a lot of the same thing, cheers and whatnot. And to just see them opening to their hearts or to their feelings, I get what you're saying, because it's not comfortable. Like a lot will say, this has been the most difficult. Like I didn't know breath work could be this difficult or this challenging or this emotional or this whatever, informative
Hmm.
or what have you. And yeah, so I'm humbled to see that, and I love that you're doing this work, and I'm so grateful that science got behind it to introduce it to more of a mass audience, because it's such a great awakener. Yeah, it's really
Yeah, it really is. I love that you're doing that work. The people,
yeah,
they need support on the way in. And
yeah.
that's that's a big part of how us facilitators are constantly thinking about, like, how can we prepare these people for the extraordinary
Right.
experience of all the realms merging, right?
All the realms.
And
Yeah.
and the breath is just, it's the most true anchor that I can find, the breath and the body in that merging place. It's so accessible for each person. We
Yeah.
all have to breathe to be here. We
Yeah.
all have to have a body to be here.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
and it's just like the beginning.
It's just
A, B, C. That's all that they need, is just like
yeah.
what the breath can do, where it can take you, because the breath, can
Yeah.
take you anywhere,
Can
really.
take you
Once
anywhere.
it can
Its
take
own
you
medicine.
anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's what I've learned in my medicine
Yeah.
journeys. It's
Yeah.
for my prayers in the medicine. Well, one of them is like, show me how to do this without necessarily having to take your body into mine. Like, I know my consciousness can merge with yours. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to go to the jungle. I don't need to eat the mushroom. If
Mm-hmm.
I know your essence, then I can merge with you and breathe
Mm-hmm.
with you,
Mm.
and then I can do this work with myself and for the universe.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's more capacity, right?
Yeah.
So we have to start where these demographic people are, bless their hearts, and just remind them that their breath is theirs.
Yeah.
It's theirs.
Yeah, it
It
gives them a
really
sense
is.
of like control, but also a surrender at the same time. It's like that yogic, in the Yoga Sutras, they talk a lot about that, like control, a balance of control and surrender. And it's like that pushing the edge of the nervous system to just that place of like growth without overwhelming. And then it's like PTSD or re traumatizing, right? So it's like the breath seems to be this controllable medicine, that can do that work. And it just kind of can hit that edge, but you can always back off because it's like there's no extra external device. And if we get good with that, then it's like, oh, then we'll take that next step real easily, because it's like, oh, wait, now I trust myself. Oh, I trust my guidance. I trust I'm connected to spirit. I trust, and now I can keep going further. It's like expanding from there.
Yeah, and
So,
I love that you said that because that's what I keep finding. Well, I had to learn that for myself with my brain injury, but also these people, and I think anybody, like we have to learn to trust ourselves
yeah,
and honor our capacity, and then find ways to expand that. But for our body and our nervous system and our spirit need to know that we got ourselves, right? And that
yeah,
we honor where we're at and what our capacity is on any given day.
yeah,
And and so to know that we can push and that we know how to come back home and
yeah.
that we can push and titrate in and out, just like the breath does. And
Wow.
that we don't always have to push and we always have to stay home, but there's this dance and
So
to
true.
know ourselves to be able to do that. And that's what I talk to my clients about every single time is my desire, my prayer for them in their journey is that not only in the journey do they learn how to be with themselves, but that ripples out into the rest of their life. So the dosage that we choose for them has to be the right dosage so that they can be with their journey and not just be done to, like they've been done to for their entire life, but they have
Mhm.
the ability to be with it
Yeah,
and that they're growing their ability beforehand,
yeah,
they're with their journey, and then as they go into the rest of their life they have those resources and that I did that, I got myself, I'm with myself and I
wow.
can be with the rest of my life, I'm learning, I'm growing. um and I think that that's what, people say that integration is 50% of the work, and I believe it's that or
Oh my
more,
God. I
that
was
we
just going to bring
have.
it to that word. So I'm glad that you hit that. I was like, let's talk about integration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's a, with this demographic, it's a more challenging part because people like you and I, we have communities that speak this language, this
Right.
growth language, this transformational language, where a lot of these people don't
Mm-mm.
in themselves or in their family systems, their work culture, the culture that we live in is a sick one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's normal to have these depressed, anxiety-ridden bodies and psyches. It's like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a normal response, but what
Mm-hmm.
can we do with that?
Yeah.
And so to have this extraordinary experience and then go back into
I know.
a family system and a culture system that is still sick. We've all
Right.
done that. We've all
Yeah.
like
We've all
gone
done
like,
that.
oh.
It's so easy too to just snap right back into the story and into the narrative with the environment, the same people, and all of that. So, what is it that you do with integration, and how do you support them afterwards?
Yeah, I do a lot of right now I've been training in expressive art therapy as well.
Oh, yeah.
So we do drawing and storytelling and writing. I also listen to them about what it is that they found in their journey that are next steps, right? And I
Yeah.
love when I hear from them, oh, I already started going to this tap class, or I started swimming, or I've been journeying a lot, or I've been writing letters to these relatives. Don't know if I'll ever send them, but I'm writing it. Something that
Good.
continues the expressive energy, the movement of those parts of themselves that were never expressed, right?
That's
And
right.
then
Yeah.
and then that the rest. I'm a huge self-care advocate as well. Like I
Yeah.
take care of myself like nobody else, maybe just like you. I'm
We should have a
huge on
self
it.
care day, you and
Oh,
I.
yeah,
Go do
yeah,
that.
it's amazing. So I'm always talking to them about rest, water, pauses, good food. The food that most of these
Oh,
people eating, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, of course you're feeling that way,
Right, right.
you
Yeah.
know?
It's such a big,
Um, it's such a big thing. So that instilling uh, more prosperous habits for
yeah,
that regrowth, right? That's one of the things. I don't know about ayahuasca and witch humans, some of those, what it does to neuroregenesis, but psilocybin is being studied and is being shown that
yeah,
we brain dies during the
yeah,
journey, which is amazing, and then
yeah.
we're regrowing it. So that takes
That's amazing.
energy. It causes exhaustion, but it also is an amazing opportunity to really become clear on what you're trying to regrow, those habits, those re that regenesis into. What do
Right.
you want to grow into? And so we really talk about that a lot.
Oh, I
And
love
then
that.
I send them links towards people like breath workers,
Yeah.
somatic therapists, cranial sacral people,
Right.
quest people, right? That can
Right.
keep on bringing in new thresholds of experience for them and embodiment that
Yeah.
can further their journey. But really, really, and I'm sure you understand this, what people need the most is community.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
right? And
Yeah.
that's going to be a slow growth thing
Yeah.
that's happening and that I just keep on
Mhm.
praying for is that like things keep on opening up, culture systems, family systems, but also just this um new networks to spawn in
Yeah.
places. And maybe that's part of what ecstatic dance has always been for me. It's a place that I
Yeah.
can go home to, that I
Yeah.
know that there's going to be some like-minded people that get their body, that get quests
Yeah.
to go on in their consciousness through music to grow and dissolve and
Uh,
screech
I
and
love
get
that.
really like "Rrr," messy
Uh,
for a little while. And people need that. We all need that.
they do. I mean, isn't it like one of the number one needs that we have is belonging,
Yeah.
right? It's like love, belonging, touch, right? Like basic, basic needs.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
that, yeah, we're alone, and that's where all the problems start coming from, right? Separation and
All of it. Yeah,
hmm
the belief, it's amazing what anxiety and depression and pain, their voices tell us that we're alone,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know? And
yeah.
then as soon as we start speaking them out to other people, you're like, oh,
Oh, yeah, right.
oh,
Oh, I'm not alone. Yeah.
I'm not alone.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
not alone.
I'm not alone. I always think of like our root chakra because it's like that's one of the main kind of affirmations of the root chakra. I belong, I matter, I'm
Yeah.
supported. And it's like, it's very foundational to who we are. So I love that you brought it to that space. I just, as you were talking, I just kind of had this image. This was a long time ago, but like how the plants like kind of like jumped out of the Amazon. I was like, they just like jumped out of the Amazon. They were like, take us to the West. And it's like, because we're like, let's say, connected to media and the US is, let's say, a leader, even though I don't think we treat our community the best, we've always led in certain ways. And the more we put science and we back certain plants and research and medicines, that will spread. And it is like far and wide. Like some of the people coming from some of these retreats are from all over,
Yeah.
the world. And so I really do see this ripple effect happening, and it's continuing to really spread, across the world. And I know that psilocybin is right now but only legal. Is it only legal in Oregon, or is it also now legal in Colorado? Or
It's
it's
yeah,
becoming?
it is legal in Colorado, but their system is not quite set up for therapeutic use yet.
I see. Okay,
They
yeah.
say that it will be this summer, but nobody knows what it's going to look like quite yet.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in the hotbed of it really just happening, which is so exciting. The forefront, right, of all of this like leading edge experience. It's really cool. And I just see it like happening, all over the world. I mean, so much research has happened with MDMA and all these other, uses of different medicines, if you will. And yeah, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. So great. I love
I
it.
know.
Yeah, that you're doing this.
It feels like, I don't know, a lot of people are feeling this, that just in the last couple years, we entered some other part of the universe where all of a sudden the constructs
I
of
do feel that way.
psychedelics and things are bad. And
Yeah,
now
yeah, right,
and
right.
now, the people that were 70 and 60 are starting to,
So resurgence, right? They're like, we did this
yeah,
in the 60s.
and we're ready to do it again, and it's not so bad, and I'm willing
Right.
to talk to my people about it. And we're seeing it in the political systems. And I think I saw a statistic the other day that millennials are drinking 30% less than everyone else. And they're
Really?
just so much more health conscious and like wanting,
Finally, yeah.
sober bars and all that. And I was like, yeah, that's it.
That's
There's
it.
just this different
That's
consciousness
so
coming
good.
in. And
Yeah.
so when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I think that this is only going to keep growing, not only
Yeah.
psilocybin, but MDMA and um, hopefully cannabis will like get off the federal
Yeah.
ticket, and there's
Right.
other ones too that could just mescaline. There's just
Yeah.
so many pathways that
There's so many pathways. Yeah.
deserve respect
Yeah, absolutely. I love
and
that you brought it
freedom.
to deserve respect. Yes, absolutely.
I
100%.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So I guess as we're kind of like wrapping up, and we'll have all the links to you and what you do down in the show notes. Is there anything else that you wanted to share that maybe we didn't get to, with, typically, obviously, women are watching The Empowered Woman, but we have men too. Is there anything you want to tell people about, any way that you'd like to close, or anything that comes to mind?
Mm. Well, I see a lot of women in my practice from all kinds of ages, and I see a few men. And what I see in women is that we have such a deep capacity to journey far and wide and long.
Mm.
And it's because of our womb, our
Mhm.
bleeding time, that we can carry life. We have carried life, that we know how to go deep into the darkness and come out with wisdom, with empowerment, with new ideas, creativity. And that's what I see in dance experiences. That's what I see in plant medicine experiences, psilocybin experiences. And so as a woman, take care of those dark descents that are offered to
Mhm.
us with the womb space and
Mm.
with postpartum time, the rest, the pause, when we're hurt, when we're sick, when we are in pain, to dive deep into those, right? I believe
Mm.
pain has such deep medicine,
Oh,
such
yeah.
deep messages for us.
Yeah.
And, one of my teachers from the Amazon says that pain and disease and illness, they call them little mothers. And
I
and
love that.
you need to listen to your mother, right? There's a message there.
Yeah.
And I love that too. I see it now more as like children, these
Uh-huh.
messages too. It's like they're going to get louder and louder and louder, just like a toddler would, until you
Oh,
finally turn towards that energy
yeah.
and say, hey,
Face
how
it.
may I hear you? How may I
Uh-huh.
see you? Like, help me be with you, and just love it. And as soon as you
Yeah.
turn towards those things with love and openness, a welcoming energy, then my goodness, I've just seen all pain, all distortions of our ideas of what that pain represents melt away. Just totally
Mm.
melt away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Turning the traumas into triumphs, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love like
Love that.
the initiation of those times. It's like such a golden opportunity to master like who we are and what we're learning. Like you said, and there's a huge emergence and transformation that happens if you turn towards that darkness. Oh, so good. I love what you said.
Yeah.
That was wise
Yeah.
words. Yeah.
It's
Wise,
it's
wise words.
it's one of my favorite reasons for being a human, even if, so many times when it does happen, I'm like, oh my God, how is this my story?
I know,
Why
right?
am I so
Right.
intense?
Another one. Another. I'm always like, another dark night of the soul. Really?
I know, I
How
know. I'm
many?
like,
Every 7 years.
and why is it got to be so mythological and so but
Right.
but it's quite a life to remember too,
Isn't it? Yeah.
and I'm grateful for it. Yeah.
Yeah, very grateful. That's so beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and your wise wisdom and the pathway of psilocybin and all that you're learning with your clients and everything that you've shared. It's been really incredible. What a beautiful journey that we've taken with you today. So
Yeah.
sure everyone will really get so much out of this. I'm so excited to put this out there in the world and have people connect with you and your heart. So thank you so much, Meixa, so much.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
yeah, more conversations. Let's do this again sometime for sure.
I'd love that. Thank you for everything that you provide and having me on, and for
Yeah.
your enthusiasm and really just eloquence for growth in the language of growth and transformation and lifting people up through that.
Thank you so
We
much.
need more women like you.
Oh, I see you and you see me. Thank you. And to all the people out there, we see you also. Please tune in with Meixa and tune in with other women that are on this podcast. We just celebrate so many courageous women who are so brave and they've turned their struggles and challenges and dark nights of the soul and everything into success and love and wisdom. And it's just incredible. So please come back again and we'll see you soon. Thank you so, so, so much.
Thank you.